So if you can kick it off if you want.
You want me to kick the podcast off?
If you want to.
I'll kick the podcast off.
All right.
Show me you ain't no bitch.
All right. Hey guys, it's Jeremy Gunmag Warehouse. All right, coming at you guys from Washington. Sound pretty good.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I've never actually heard somebody do an imitation of me.
Of me.
This is Jeremy from Gunmag Warehouse, and we're going to see what it takes to become a pilot in the year 2000.
Well, welcome to the Maglife podcast. Evidently, my country accent's a lot thicker than I thought it was.
You ever see that movie Major Payne?
Yeah.
You kind of remind me of the Major Payne voice. One, don't you feel dumb?
Oh wow, 9.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you came up to me in the street, I would just be like, get this fucking drunk away from me.
We're just going to attack him on the podcast.
Oh, that's a good start. I'll take it right there. So we're out here in Washington in an undisclosed location, the PNW's Bigfoot country. And I was lucky enough to be allowed to come out here with your permission. So thank you for that.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Absolutely. I was interested in doing this podcast with you guys because I think both of you are responsible for taking what was an already successful YouTube channel to an entirely other level, adding in humor and cinematography, the likes of which the YouTube world had never seen. And now it's kind of created a new era of quality meets entertainment meets information.
Now, to be clear, I like to use the analogy of it'd be like breaking up the Beatles. You know, it's this perfect. What were the Beatles? A band. It's like this perfect band, you know. But as soon as John died, was it John or Paul?
As John died once. No, what broke up the Beatles was Yoko Ono.
Yeah, but Paul was replaced with a body double, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, the Beatles were done.
So where you were going with that was?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
It's like breaking up the Beatles. No, I'm just kidding. Me and Mike use the term a lot, right? Like, the goal here is to keep the gang together, right? Because I feel like you got it pretty much nailed down where everybody kind of has a pretty unique personality and it kind of jives and it kind of bounces off one another. Mike already had something pretty good going on his own. Let's be honest. It wouldn't be a thing without Mike. Mike is the guy. He's intelligent in what he's talking about. He's thorough. He's got all the skill sets that people wanted, right? How to set up a plate carrier, how to survive in the woods, how to do it, set up your rifle, all that cool stuff. Add another Beatle to the mix, right? You know, you have Micah, amateur videographer at the time. I became very obsessed with improving the quality over the years, and I've strived to do so. And then obviously, I mean, as intelligent and smart as that is, Charles obviously brings the humor factor to it, which I think Mike couldn't do on his own. And that is the Beatles.
Yeah, I mean, you can't bottle Charlie. There's no way like that you could prepare.
You can bottle his farts.
I've tried. Well, I've cupped it. So that's always a fun story to get into is how kind of got it. You remember like the first video, Garand Thumb gives himself Garand Thumb, right?
Cut him out of the video.
Yeah. So
the first video he was in, we didn't even feature him because he was so, I would say, shot. Like
it was so. My jokes and my dark humor especially, it's a constant, right? But I know time and place. So Mike had this group chat for like to help out with videos. And so I go out there and I'm like, okay, this is Garand Thumb, and I'd already known Micah. But it was kind of like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. Like how far can I go, right? And yeah, it was fucking awkward. It was super awkward.
He stood there and we're like, "Do you have anything to say?" I remember him being just like, no, trying to think of something he could say. And then I was like, "No, Mike, I swear, this guy's hilarious. I've hung out with him a couple times. Honestly, I think we met in these woods."
It was, yeah.
Yeah, we met up in these woods.
In a straight way.
Yeah,
sure.
He was holding the gimbal, I was holding the gimbal. He needed camera advice. I gave him camera advice. Anyway, he was hilarious, right? In a one-on-one, I thought he was the funniest person I ever met. So then I was like, give him another chance, bring him out. Like, and then what did we do after that?
So essentially, I remember after that, we're all kind of hanging out at the end of that. Garand Thumb gives himself Garand Thumb, and Mike, he's a hard dude to read at first when you're getting to know him.
First?
Yeah, well still, because he's super chill, right? And I remember he's talking to all the other guys, and he's telling a story of how he's on a jump and the plane ahead of him, some chick was going to exit out of the door, crossed her line, and her head popped off. And for some reason, I was like, oh, she'll bounce back. And he stops, and he just turns towards me, and he goes, and just looks at me. I was like, I'm never coming back. But then cut to, there's another video that hasn't been released. So I remember I was like, well, I'm just going to kind of do me. I'm going to treat it like every other situation, homie. And I was just kind of going off. So I think that, yeah.
And then it was like, oh. And then it was, I think it became, I read a lot of the comments. I spend a lot of time reading the comments, which is probably unhealthy. But, dude, I bet the next video that didn't have him was like, where's Charlie? Where's Charlie? Where's Charlie? Where's Charlie? So we're like, all right, we'll have him back out. And now whenever he's not in it, it's like, where's Charlie? So.
Yeah, I mean, you need some of that chaos mixed in because it just makes it more holistic. You know what I mean? You're able to get some crazy with the calm, cool, and collected guy who knows what he's doing, and that it balances out.
No, 100%.
Really well.
100%. I just don't think any of us can come up with that on the spot. I could think of it. We could script it. But that's not fun.
I don't think you can.
No,
I don't think you can script what Charlie does. That's what I mean.
Right,
you can't bottle it. You just go out there and you pop something off the cuff.
You can script it,
and that's what makes it funny.
The way you want it to come across.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
And to be fair, I mean, Micah's editing is pretty spot on, because there'll be some days where I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if that's a good video. And then next thing you know, it's like it's a banger. You know, just the way he can just edit it all.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the comment section. Now that's obviously a driving force, and it's been that way. Like stereotypically, the comment section is out of control.
Yeah.
I'll do nothing to stop you guys down in the comment section. Do you think that is a large part of the success of Garand Thumb?
The comment section?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, driving the community side of getting people involved.
Yeah, probably. I feel like if you don't feel like you're a part of it, if you can't relate to it, why are you here? I think so. I mean, that's kind of where my YouTube channel came from. I come out here, the first time I came out here, I forgot targets. Was I going to go home? No, we've all done it. And we've all shot that clay pigeon that someone left. We've all shot that. It's American pastime, shooting trash, right? And so through my head, I was like, honestly, this is kind of relatable. I'm just going to shoot trash. And people kind of jived with it. So people, yeah. Some people didn't. Some people called me an idiot. And that hurt my feelings. But
Really?
No.
Okay, well, I figured with somebody who spent as much time as you have in the comment section, that somebody calling you an idiot would just kind of be like nothing. No factor.
You know, it's funny. It doesn't matter. I've gotten pretty good at, like, you know, no matter what, not everyone's gonna like your stuff. You can't be perfect. You can't please everybody. It's literally not possible. So when there's like 99.9% of the comments are positive, not necessarily positive, but at least engaging in a neutral or positive way with the channel, even that like 0.01% of comments will resonate with you more than the 99.9% of neutral or positive comments. Like, you will remember those negative comments more than you will remember the positive ones.
I think it's the ones that really make sense too, right? Because you definitely develop a thick skin. You know, people would be like, "Oh, he's cringe." They'll go off on everyone, even Mike. But for example, one that really got me, it kind of hurt a little bit. I don't even know if I have told you or if you have seen it, but hurt a little bit, but I laughed, is one of the videos. I usually get my hair cut by the same person every time, right? She wasn't there, and I got my haircut for the gas mask video, and it was so bad. And someone in the comments said, "Hey, if Charlie needs to find a new haircut person, I could help him out."
That one hurt.
Because it made sense. Like, I knew it was bad going in, so that resonated, right? I was so excited to grow my hair out after that, because honestly, I look like I look and I felt like I had downs with that haircut. That's how bad it was. Like, and you know, shout out to all the people at Downs, but I just don't want it.
Great people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Great people. I don't know that anybody would want it necessarily, but I know what you mean.
He wants
I totally
PTSD.
get that. Really?
I feel like there'd be a lot of stuff I could do with it.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's just a joke he made in the last video. No, someone told me to start a trend cycle.
Told you to do that?
Yeah, they're also.
See, that's-
But don't you need
that's
to
a little
work
mean
out
to you.
I
first?
do need to work out.
Well, don't you need to
don't
work
even
out,
work out.
to do trend? Like, why would you do trend?
No,
if
not
I think he was
necessarily.
just calling me fat in a roundabout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the comments are the things that stick out to you are the ones that ring true a little bit, and that's why
and that's what I mean. Yeah.
they hurt a little
Now
bit
the
more.
kid number 2's here. I'll try my best.
Do you think
No
that's
promises, though.
do you think that's just because people naturally gravitate towards the negative, or we're more aware of the negative?
I think they gravitate towards it because there's this one dude, shout out to Trident. He hates the rake. Like, genuinely hates the rake. He'll comment on like the Garand Thumb Reddit, the YouTube videos, and it's not me. He hates the rake for some reason, but he goes in. It's not a joke. He'll get in arguments about it, and if that's the only thing he could gravitate towards, I think that's kind of says it. Some people just kind of gravitate towards it, and then I don't know, the one-offs. It's really great when you get a one-off comment and something like that, and then you check out their YouTube channel. And one time this guy said something, and I was like, all right, I want to check out his YouTube channel. And the only video he had was his dog dying. It was so weird. It was super weird.
You probably came there.
Yeah, so it was getting put down, and he was like talking to it. And I was like, out of all the things you could put on YouTube, you're just like, this is going to be a banger.
Well, so basically, whenever you leave a comment that's sort of negative, there is a possibility that somebody's going to go check out your channel and look and see what you've posted publicly. Because it's really convenient to not have any sort of public persona and leave something shitty online because, hey, you can't come after me. There's nothing you can do. And yet, for you guys, everything's all out there. You know, you're all, whether you like it or not, in the public eye now. And that comes with certain positives and negatives. For you, generally speaking, like in the state of Washington, do you get recognized on a regular basis? And if so, is that like a positive interaction or no?
No, I have, and it's always around my parents for some reason, which makes them super proud. Like at Safeway on Father's Day, a guy was like, "Micah," my dad was like, "Son, that's so cool." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." But in Idaho, a lot more, like a lot more, like every time I go to Idaho. But Washington, it's usually like, no, not really.
Like
too many people.
gun shops or pits, usually. Yeah.
Actually, when I was filming a video out here, some people drove by in the middle of me filming, and they were like, "You're Micah?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Can you get a picture?" And I was going to put that in the video, but then I thought that take was bad, and I formatted the card without thinking, and then now I'm bummed out. Sorry, guys.
You lost the,
I lost the
clip.
interaction. I was like, dang.
That would have been cool.
That was wholesome. It was wholesome, yeah. But
How about you, Charlie? Let me guess. If you've got the glasses on,
Yeah, so that's a big one. People think that Superman thing doesn't work. It works. I've literally there's one time I went to the gym. There's an old coworker outside, and I started talking to him. He was asking, "Oh, what do you do now?" Yada yada. So I got into it, and I was like, "Yeah, you know that R word guy who helps Garand Thumb in his videos sometimes." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's me." He's like, "No." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And he's like, "No." And I was right by my truck, opened the door, grabbed the glasses. And when they got to about right here, he goes, "Oh," and I'm just like, damn. So, but in Idaho is the first place where I wasn't wearing glasses. Sam and I were sitting there eating Albertson's chicken on the back of the truck, right? About to go shoot a video. So we're scarfing it down. And some dude pulls up next to us. Cool guy, if you're watching this. He messaged me later, said sorry for being a weirdo. But he's like, "I know you." And I was like, "Cool, man." Like, I don't know what do I do with my hands? And he's like, we're just staring at each other, right? We don't know whether to fight, kiss, or kiss. And so after a while, he just goes, "Oh, I think I recognize the sweatshirt," and leaves.
Oh man,
I was like,
poor guy.
Why didn't you give him a bone?
Well, because what do I say? Yeah, I am Charlie from Garand Thumb. You know, that seems kind of douchey. But he went to the stockpile thing later
probably
on.
from YouTube or something.
I don't know, dude. I was focusing on my Albertson's chicken.
Yeah.
There you go.
But met him later on at the meet and greet. Cool dude. So, but yeah, in Idaho, no glasses. Sometimes that happens for sure.
Yeah, I would expect it to be a lot more common for you guys because it's happened to me a couple times. One in particular was when I was with Aaron in Arizona, and it's the first time that we filmed anything with administrative results. And we went to eat some ramen place, and
Of course,
Makes sense.
Jinra.
yeah,
We went to
yeah,
Jinra.
yeah,
I've been to
with
Arizona,
Salvio
hung out
and
there, and we go to Jinra.
yeah, that was his
banging.
choice. It was
Yep,
good.
yep.
It was good food. And we walked down the street a little bit because there was like some political speech going on, and we're just standing there looking. This dude with a suit walks up to me, and he's like, "Are you Jeremy Stone from Gunmag Warehouse?"
Standing next to administrative
And
results.
and yeah, exactly. Aaron hadn't taken his mask off at that point yet, so nobody knew who he was. And I'm like, how does this guy recognize me? Nobody. But then we've got 250,000 subscribers right next to me. Like, if you know me, you 100% know administrative results.
Right,
You 100% know you guys. So I would expect it a lot more from.
The funniest thing is, oftentimes, like at SHOT Show, people would come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, can I get your autograph? Dude, you're really funny on camera. The lab coat and the glasses." And I'm like, "Oh, these people think I'm Charlie." Like, and still, we often, like, even in my own, on my own YouTube channel, sometimes people will be like, "Bring back the rake," and I'm like, "Oh, they think I'm Charlie." Still, like, people have constantly tagged me in photos
Yeah.
that he's in, or tagged him in photos that I'm in.
One of the best ones was when Herrera did it, and he said,
That's what.
Garand Thumb's cameraman, Micah, and it's my face.
It was Charlie.
Did he do that on purpose?
And then the next video, he made an apology, like, "I can't believe I did this." But as everybody in the Pacific Northwest, like a hipster Seattle coffee, glasses wearing, whatever. I don't. So now I can't tell if people are in on the joke or if they genuinely confuse us. If Brandon confused us, my mind tells me people genuinely just mix us up.
I think people genuinely do it. Well, it's just like even stuff that's far more obvious, right? Is the dude who sent me a message who's about to go into med school and was asking for advice because I'm also a doctor, apparently.
What?
Yeah. So there are definitely people who probably mix us up.
It was because he must have not listened, because in the last video, we're like, Charlie graduated fake medical school and is now a fake doctor. He must have been like washing cucumbers or slicing up something in the kitchen and missed the fake.
But at that point, do you want him as your doctor?
Yeah, I mean, if he's that capable of screwing something like that up, I mean, it could have just been that you had a lab coat on at that point.
Yeah.
Like, because you got a lab coat on, you're just a doctor now?
Yeah. I guess so, but
that was pretty funny.
Yeah. So this probably won't. I'm probably gonna message a dude before this even comes out, but I'm absolutely gonna tell him I'm a doctor.
I'm
gonna fully commit.
Doctor that shit. Yeah. And I'm just gonna give him the worst advice, and I hope he passed the test. Man.
So one of Charlie's superpowers that people actually don't know about is internet trolling.
Okay.
And something I am really proud that he partakes in is getting feet pics from Indians.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's like the Uno reverse card.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you know how like PVC patch companies and stuff like that, they'll message you. So long story.
Sir.
Yeah, honorable sir. So I have it down on how to get feet pics with them. And I think the quickest I've gotten is probably within 4 messages. And the last one, I got him to send me a feet pic because in this country, I need to see your feet so I could trust you to do business with you. And after he sent me a picture of his foot, I messaged back and I said, now I need to see the bottom of those feetsies. And he sent me the bottom of his feet. And what's awesome is that they're all these just like clearly Indian feet, right? That certain shade with dirty, disgusting floors beneath them. And then I end it with, I'll go talk to my business partner. So yeah, I literally have I'll show you after, but I have
pretty good.
More than a couple
it's
of
pretty good. I look forward to them.
Indian feet pictures on my
That's
phone.
some pretty next level stuff right there.
Next level, dude.
I would have never even thought about it.
Yeah, I used to, after I would do that and I'd get the feet pics, I would actually post the feet pic on my story and then tag them and say thanks. So,
Dude. Well, you got to keep yourself entertained somehow.
Like I said,
Yeah.
he's a next level trolling like superpower. Like
Yeah,
he's really good at it.
So there's what was it? My buddy, he had a TikTok, right? And he'd kind of show guns. So I got on there. I made an old lady TikTok account. I took just some random picture off of Twitter, an anti-gun lady. Took her picture, made a TikTok account, and I went on his account and I started, assault weapons aren't a joke. We got to get rid of them, stuff like that. And it got to a point where I had made up a whole backstory. I was married to some cop in Washington for 20 years because I knew he was going to come up to visit. And we go back and forth, and he would actually send me the screenshots and tell me what he was going to say to her next. So then I just formulated a great comeback, and it went on and on. My goal was to have him show up to Washington and fight my imaginary husband.
No.
Well, he pussied out. So I guess the win of that was I got to call him a pussy because he never showed up to fight. And then I kind of broke it to him, had all the screenshots that I still have all those too. I just go and like when I tricked him.
This one's bad.
So
I feel bad.
We're up shooting up here. It was myself, buddy, and Unlucky Duck on Instagram. And we stopped by Buffalo Wild Wings, and there's a waitress, right? And he doesn't have a girlfriend or anything, and he mentions, oh, she's cute. So I'm like, write down your number. So he writes down his number on a napkin. We leave, and then I realize my other buddy who was with us, they don't communicate. He doesn't have his number. So I hit him up, and I'm just like, hey, man, message him. Pretend to be the girl. So they are messaging for a solid week. We created a group chat on Instagram so we could discuss replies and stuff. And he made up a backstory, how he was in med school or becoming a nurse and all that. And got to a point where actually grew suspicious for one instance. He's like, all right, send me a picture of you with a spoon on your head. Well, Unlucky Duck, his fiance, girlfriend at the time, was working in dental office. So she had the whole like nurse type thing. She took a picture of herself, put a spoon on her head, was wearing a mask, made sense because it was during COVID, right? Sentiment, he was sold. We set up a date to go back to the Buffalo Wild Wings. He was going to pick her up and they were going to go get sushi and drinks and all that good stuff. So myself, my buddy Kev, Unlucky Duck, we all sat there and waited for him. And he shows up and he sees us and he like
He's
grabs my shoulder
and everything, man.
Yeah, it was gnarly. So I'm like, hey, he knows now. And he grabs my shoulder. He's like, oh, you're a dick. I'm like, why? He's like, I got a date. I got to go meet her at the bar. Still didn't pick up on it by this point. I'm just like, man, this is really going to be funny. So then homeboy, Unlucky Duck, he's like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I forgot what the name was for her. And yeah, he was super sad. He took 11 shots of tequila that night. Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious.
That is some next level trolling.
Yeah, so just be careful. Just be careful, okay? Be on your toesies. Feetsies, as Charlie would say.
Be on your pale brown feetsies,
I mean,
dude.
once you said now let me see the bottom of those feetsies, like you knew you had them right there. Because if he's like, oh, okay, yeah.
As soon as they send that first picture of their foot, because what they tend to do is they'll just plop down their foot and then they'll just take a picture. And usually, like, I've even got ones where it's like they clearly sleep on the floor and it's like at the bottom of their little mat that they can't afford. and they take a picture. And it's like, once I got that, my goal is if I get one foot, I want to get both in the same picture. And if I got both, like I want to get the underside, just see how far I can drag it. And really, this whole time they're thinking, oh, we're doing business. He's gonna get so many patches not sent to him, and I just get feet pics. And sometimes this might be weird. Sometimes that's it. I just don't tell anyone. I just thought it was funny, and then I move on.
Yeah.
He hides them. He puts them in his personal library.
It's more the thrill of the hunt, versus actual payoff.
That's literally it. Yeah.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
Not the destination.
Yeah.
Charlie, does Micah have a special superpower like that?
His other superpower is probably abruptly hanging up the phone when you talk to him. Because when the conversation's done, it's done. All right,
There's no warning, just over.
Yeah.
That's good. Some people can't do that.
What are you supposed to do? Oh, man, hey, buddy, it's been good talking, all right? I'll be seeing you later, okay? Okay, bud, okay, yep, talk to you later, bye.
That's why it's a superpower, because it's a good thing.
I mean, you sound like you're talking to your son right there.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah,
do.
like a sweet little kid.
If I was talking to my son.
But I mean, if you said
yeah.
like, all right, man, anything else? All right, cool.
No, all right.
You just kinda-
I'll let the people decide. How do you hang up the phone? All right, yep, sounds good, man. Talk to you later. Bye. That or, yep, for sure. Which
yeah,
one?
see, I wouldn't even know the conversation was ended until I heard the boom, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tone at the end.
Takes
So-
some getting used to.
There is
but
no tone
eventually-
anymore. That you just look and the calls disappeared.
Doop, doop, doop.
Yeah.
That is how phones work now. There's no dial tone.
Yeah.
You got Jeremy's at his house still using that quarter
Landline,
phone,
bro.
Yeah.
talking to Micah.
I don't think
twirling at his
landlines are
finger.
a thing anymore.
Oh, certainly they are.
Oh, for offices and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and for like older people who don't want a cell phone.
No
Yeah,
conformity.
cell phones are like emergencies only for some of the older people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, those are some of the people that actually get scammed by those PVC patch companies.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, yeah. So I should probably try and get feet pics from those old people as well.
You tell me I'm not going to get my patches that I sent $200 for Google Play gift cards for?
200, dude. I paid way more than that.
That's a lot of Indian pesos. I don't know what
What is that
financially
called, a
what they
ruble?
use. No, I think that's Russian. Rubles?
Yeah,
Rubles?
Rubles. That's Russian.
Rupee.
Rupee.
rupees.
That's
yeah.
what I meant to say.
I
Rupee.
thought that was like a jewel.
Yeah, it might be
Rupees?
I think rupee is
No,
actually
rupee is that
the Zelda currency.
no, that's the thing that
Isn't
makes,
it?
It makes people go to sleep.
That's a roofie.
Roofies. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things we just mentioned that were not what we were talking about, but
No.
fair
yeah.
enough. Another question I got, change of subject. I thought to myself recently, now that I've got a fair bit of firearms, I don't have nearly as many as I'd like to have, but if I had to start over, if I had nothing, what would I start with first? And if I was gonna like build out a rifle, would I purpose build it or make kind of like a general purpose rifle to start building up the arsenal again?
Probably a general I'll let Micah take the rifle. I'll take the pistol portion.
Well, for each
I
of
think
you
we probably
individually,
agree.
I think so.
I think we agree. I would just say buy a Glock 17, get a dot.
Yeah, pretty much.
that'd
Done.
be your first
Done.
deal. I mean,
Done.
realistically, for a self-defense sort of situation, your pistol is going to be your go-to,
yeah.
concealable.
I think a
Yeah.
pistol is probably a better first purchase than a rifle.
Absolutely. I'd start with a light because you can still
Start with a
shoot
light, yeah.
with irons. But yeah, a G17, and that way it's a decent range gun. You know, I'm not a big fan of G19s, but that's because I have a crooked pinky after breaking it one year. But G17, unless you're a tiny dude like Vietnamese or something like that, but G17, get a light, get a dot. And then for rifle,
There's two options.
Mm-hmm.
There's two options, in my opinion. Honestly, get a PSA. like, just get a PSA. They're super cheap, and they lifetime warranty. That's cool. So, if you have your handgun already, but you want to come out to the range and do some tactical stuff, you at least know that, like, if it does break, you don't have to go buy parts for a new one, and you can come out and plink a bunch of 5.56 rounds. Not really worry about it. Option number two, get a rifle you want to keep and use in a serious capacity. Start at the level of like BCM and move up from there.
So something a little bit more
16-inch. It's
expensive.
my opinion. People can argue all they want, but I've kind of moved away from anything under 14.5. Now,
Is that
being
because
said,
you do most of your shooting in Idaho?
yes.
Okay. Because in a lot
I
of
was going to
places,
say, that being said, there's people that have hit me with massive quantifiable data sheets basically claiming 12.5 is the most ideal, the least amount of sacrifices, and I get that. But for me personally, I just, I never intended on shooting past 100, but when it became available, I was sad at the performance of my 10.5. Or of my, of my 10.5. So, and now I just, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm going to the range, I'll probably just bring my 16. So.
I mean, generally speaking, there's not a lot of ranges that offer more than 100 yards.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
And
it is kind of a luxury.
most people don't shoot on Garand Ram Ranch.
Right.
So, like, I would love to have a reason or a place that I can shoot within an hour and 45 minutes beyond 100 yards, but it just doesn't exist like
It
that.
doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, man. I think that if you were buying a rifle for when SHTF, then you'd probably want a 16.
Yeah, they get caught in the weeds a lot too. I mean, look, dudes early on, like GWA dudes were running 20-inch rifles, clearing buildings, stuff
With
like
the
that.
fixed,
Like,
fixed
Right.
A2
Yeah.
stock
yeah,
or whatever.
Honestly, it doesn't
you can
matter
put
if you have a
in,
gun
you can
that
put in
shoots.
work for sure,
Yeah.
but I guess nowadays there's so many options out there. But yeah, like a 14.5, 16-inch. I know I've been shooting my 14.5 URGI a ton, which I don't know. Maybe it's from shooting shorties for so long that I just want to shoot
I
something
don't even
different.
know why I suggested barrel length. Barrel length is the stupidest debate.
How come?
Damn.
Because just shoot your gun. At the end of the day, you have a gun that shoots, and
Yeah.
and if you know your holds, I mean, yeah, sure, your bullet's traveling a little slower. You're still gonna hit it. So I don't know. Just buy whatever your heart desires. That's my opinion.
What about you, Charlie? You going with the cheaper route? You going to get the PSA if you had nothing, or are you going to like try and save up and get something like high quality?
No, I think going back to when I bought my first rifle, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst. Like if I was going to spend $700-800, PSA was out there, which I got some PSAs down the road, but I went with like a Wyndham weaponry. It was chrome line, so I knew it'd last a little bit longer, and it just ran. So I would just stay away from obvious like shit tier companies that just do your research. There's going to be plenty of information out there on Reddit or something like that.
I'm sure someone has created one of those tier lists. You know what I'm talking about? It's like SA.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed there's a tier list for rifle manufacturers, and it's probably pretty accurate.
There's some that are super accurate, some that aren't accurate. I mean, you can go with like the general, right? I think all the PSAs that I have, they've all run, right? I think the worst case was I got a free float 16-inch where the gas block was a little misaligned. But that's something I could take care of with a YouTube video. So I would probably, starting out, I'd probably, depending on budget, even if I had the budget to go something crazy, and like let's say the CIA couldn't hook me up with the Daniel Defense, right?
Sure.
And instead of paying those type of prices, I'd probably I'd kind of go a little bit cheaper with the expectation that 2 is 1 and 1 is none, and I would get another rifle, maybe step it up a grade, right? At least the upper, the kind of guts of the rifle, because lower is a lower. There are really nice lowers, but usually a lower will do the job unless it's like polymer dog shit that'll break in certain places or something like that. So I wouldn't be hesitant to go cheaper, but not cheap.
Also, know your end goal. Know
Yeah.
your end goal. If you do know you want a duty rifle and you're just going to be wasting money on your first rifle, you have to know where you're going to be. I guess you don't always know the answer. You could get your training rifle and then think, wow, this is super sick. But I would say like really look at it. And if money is that tight, just that tight, or if you're that bad with it to where you can't save it, which is probably more of the case, then figure out your end goal.
Yeah, that's what I didn't even consider when I first started. Like, what is the purpose of the rifle?
Yeah.
I never even considered it. I just wanted a rifle. I knew
Right.
I needed a rifle. 16-inch is what I got because that was what was available and at a good price. But I never even really considered about a specific use that
Case,
early
right.
on. Anytime I started like analyzing some of the details, I sort of got a little paralyzed with it because there's so many options, and everybody's got an opinion about the barrel length or the optic or the upper and lower or what kind of bolt carrier group coating you need for
right.
it to be the best. And it starts to get to be too much to where you almost don't do anything,
Right.
and you waste this time that would have been otherwise spent improving on the rifle because 90% of the controls are going to be the same. Unless you get like an ambi lower or something like that. But you can train the same way with dry fire and everything else on a cheap rifle than you could on an expensive one.
For sure.
So,
And that's why I said that those PSAs, if you do want to get out here and train, it's probably the quickest entry into a decent rifle for training.
I think I still have like 4 or 5 PSAs that I just won't get rid of because I know they run. They're obviously not to the more expensive end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this will last through anything. It's bomb proof. But they run. They'll do the job if I need it. If the end of the world and Costco gets rid of their $1.50 hot dogs, I could give it to a homie. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I keep saying PSA, and I think I'm using PSA as kind of a buzzword for a rifle around that price.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean PSA is the only company.
There are definitely companies
course,
that are a little
right.
bit more expensive that they make some great things, and then other things are dog shit where the bolts break and I've seen them break. And we'll mention the company. Fuck them.
A lot of people are really good at some things and not very good at other things.
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility. You know, another thing I've noticed when it comes to training with rifles and pistols is, for whatever reason, more restricted states, as in state law restrictions when it comes to rifles and, you know, magazine capacity, I see a lot more training going on in those states than I do in more free states.
Really?
Yeah. Like in Texas and Arkansas, it's kind of hard to fill classes.
Kind of
with
flood
people
out there, I hear.
because it's hard to get people to go out there and train. And yet, the Pacific Northwest and California,
It's because there's a bunch of youngins.
they're training all the time. Do you think that's because of the impetus of the fact that they feel the weight of the state more and they feel like their right is a little bit more at risk, or more of like a cultural thing within certain communities in certain areas? Because there's definitely one of those in the Pacific Northwest. You guys have a pretty serious reputation for training.
No, the community out here is massive. Actually, it's pretty. It's
and also
pretty extensive.
We're lucky because you can come up on this mountain and you will find a place you could shoot that no
probably
one will
14
bother you.
more that
Where it's
way.
like, what, Texas doesn't have public land. You got to know someone
Almost
private or go
none.
to range. I think
Yeah.
that's probably one of the biggest thing that hinders someone, right? Because if they don't know someone with private land, there's no public land, and you got to go to a range where someone's going to ask about how quick you shoot, if you could draw from a holster, do you have a tax stamp, stuff like that. Something people don't want to deal with.
Sure.
It's almost like you kind of settle into the well, if I get lucky and that one guy who has land invites me out in a couple months, that'd be pretty good. And also they might fall into the trap of, I'm proficient, right? And you might think you're proficient, and you might think you could hold your own until you get around someone who just shits on you. You know, like we'll run into that all the time. We run into it together, right? Like we'll go out, and if it's rifle, it'll be like, fucking Micah. I tell them all the time, your splits are stupid. And then we get on pistol, and it's like you really don't know where you stand until you get around others. I think that's probably the one of the biggest things in a state like Texas as compared to Washington. Even though Washington is an anti-gun state, everyone still has shit here from before bans or however, crime, wink.
Sure.
I don't know if that should be cut.
Well, we would never recommend you commit any crimes. However, you're free to make your own decisions.
Exactly. But yeah, that's just the thing, man, is even though it's like an anti-gun state and it's shifting in a pretty crappy direction, the dudes who have what they have, they can still come out here and they can train, they can get after it, you know. And a lot of people don't have 100 yards beyond. A lot of people don't have 15 yards, 10 yards.
Yeah.
You know, if this pit is taken, I got one 5 minutes away. If that one's taken, I got one 10 minutes away. There, I know
You can go out to 500 yards out here.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
we
certain
could go
angles.
out to,
Yeah.
we have 1,000-yard spotting.
Yeah.
So we have something that meets all the needs.
It's probably a state by state case, honestly,
It
where what barrel length would make most sense for you. But
Whereas like Arizona's a hub too. You have a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
cool
Oh, yeah.
companies. They
Yeah.
have public land. People could get out there and shoot and train and all that.
it's
good
all
stuff.
desert. You shoot anywhere out there. Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so even in, like you said, let's say a California where people train a lot, they have public land. So if they already have the equipment to go out and train, what's stopping them? Nothing. Whereas again, Texas, what's stopping them? Somewhere to shoot. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
That's definitely the case. How has it been? Has anything changed for you guys, really, or have you felt the effects of
Yes.
the magazine
Yes,
ban?
absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely, dude. It's like I just started doing my YouTube channel, and I already can't do 90% of the things that I want to do because I don't have an FFL. I mean, we do in Idaho, but not like I can't drive 8 hours doing all this like funky stuff all the time, right? Like there's ways around it, but it's a massive headache. You know what I mean? And then I got buddies with FFLs that I could send them to. I don't want to task them with holding on to all my baggage and stuff like that. So for me personally, yes, I have felt it tremendously. Especially just because I do have that kind of itch to start a new build all the time. Just had my kid and not really like going anywhere. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I never really even have to consider, like for rifles.
I
and
never
stuff, so
did.
it's
I never did. And I probably never would have moved if it wasn't the case. So
moved here.
I'm
away.
moving away.
Yeah.
So I can be free again.
Yeah.
Release my chains.
Yeah, that it's a really weird. It's almost like a different country when you come here because like they're still Americans, but the laws and everything that we have in Texas versus here is completely.
There's still people that live in America. I don't even know if you call them Americans. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, they probably don't want to be called Americans. I mean,
they probably
there's a fair
don't
bit
themselves.
Of people here
I was gonna say
they don't like.
They would probably be upset if you said that to
And
them.
then there's the homeless, which aren't even homeless. They're just junkies. They're just called oxygen thieves.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, they don't want to be a part of most of the actual societal like benefits. They want to take advantage of
They
those,
don't want
but
to
really
contribute,
wanna-
but they want to reap the benefits it has to offer.
Well, regardless of contributing, because like I don't give a shit about contributing to fucking Dan, Steve, or someone else I don't fucking know.
No, contribute to society. They don't want to contribute to society, but they want to reap modern society's benefits, is what I'm trying to say.
They just want that fentanyl, son.
Yeah, I mean, they to a certain degree, if we compared it to like somebody who just goes into the woods and lives on their own, they're like actually
Yeah, like a mountain
supporting
man.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tight. That's sick.
yeah, that actually has some real requirements when it comes to what you know and how to actually take care of yourself.
Could you imagine if you ran into a mountain man in the woods? That'd be terrifying.
What do you
There's
think?
no way that he's like friendly. Maybe he is.
Well, I mean, he's probably pretty antisocial. You know, that would probably be the type. What do you think that would look like? You come across that guy, you think he's gonna be happy you're there or not?
No, not at all.
I don't.
Mike ran into one. Remember that? One
I wasn't there.
One of his trainings. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was stealing food from him.
Mike was stealing food from him?
No. He was stealing food
Oh
from
yeah,
Mike.
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you think you were lost in the woods, like almost close to death, like you haven't eaten, you haven't drank, and you came across a mountain man, would you ask him for help?
I'd ask him for help. He'd go and not help me.
You don't think he would?
I don't know what a mountain man really looks like, man. I don't know.
You know what I think is on tap though? Is all these homeless. That's urban survival right there. Yeah. Can you imagine
true.
just hanging out for a week and taking notes? You'd be like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do if I have no H left, right? I'm gonna go to Hobby Lobby. I'm gonna steal some shit, but
What, like a live, laugh, love poster? Or are you gonna...
live, laugh, love with the local homeless junkie. That'd be sick, dude.
Oh,
What would you steal from Hobby Lobby? Why'd you pick that?
I don't know, man. I just feel like they would steal some shit.
It's probably the least most targeted store that a homeless would steal
Seems
from.
like a peculiar one.
I don't know, trinkets. They go around selling
Trinkets. They're like gypsies.
Just a
Face
bunch
paint.
of Welcome to Washington keychains. I don't know, dude.
That's funny.
Well, that's pretty unique. I haven't really put much thought into running into a mountain man, but I would hope if he saw me, I was injured, I need some help, that he'd probably be like, all right, here's a little bit of jerky that I made, and that's the direction you want to go. Get on.
I feel like that's maybe the mainstream thinking. I feel like you ran into a mountain man. He's been out there for 20 years. Yeah, he's antisocial, but I feel like at some point he's gonna want you to jerk him off.
So you're basically saying you need to get out of there sooner rather than later.
Honestly, like
If he's too friendly,
probably.
look, if the antisocial guy's too friendly, something's up.
and then because like yeah, exactly. You haven't drink water
man.
in days, something like that.
Sorry,
You're
we're
stuck.
Peeking the mics for Peter.
You,
Oh.
you're stuck in a real bind, right? And I don't know. I feel like some people have they might fall for it and then realize they were actually just like a mile off the trail.
This is kind of like a thing that he does.
It's a bit.
Isn't this such a good prank?
Yeah, everybody wins, I guess, in that case.
No, absolutely not. Just the mountain man.
Well, I mean, if they get their water and they get back on the trail and they live, then, I mean, there's a small price to pay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Depending on which way you swing, I suppose.
Small
but-
price, small load.
I feel that was very straightforward. that wasn't even a play on words.
No, that wasn't even a
small
joke.
load off your shoulders or on. I don't know. Cut that out, Peter. Don't even use that.
That was so straightforward. Small price, jerk him off, sucks dick.
Bust a load. Yes.
Oh,
not
that was
even-
a chilly
We
joke.
wrap this out now.
Not even a double entendre on that one. It's just pretty much
Yeah.
full bust. Right out in front. So there's a lot of beautiful things about this state. I like it a lot.
most-
I like a lot of the people that I've met, but I don't know that I'm really in tune with the mainstream Seattle Tacoma culture because it doesn't really fit. They don't like me. They don't like the things I like.
Tacoma's cooler than Seattle.
See, yeah. Mike and I, we differ greatly on the vibes we get from.
I'm a city kid though.
Oof.
I look like a city kid. I look.
I'm not
like
a big.
jive
I'm not a
with
big
the-
city.
I am a
person.
city kid. So honestly, man, I'm cool with it. To be honest, I mean, the culture and the politics, I'm not cool with, but I'm used to it to the point to where when it's gone, it's weird. That's how I'll phrase it.
Okay. That makes
Does that
sense.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your home, right? You were born here.
Yeah. No, I've lived 5 minutes from the hospital I was born my whole life. So, yeah.
So I can imagine that.
Makes perfect sense. Everything going on,
But despite being
Homeless,
pretty close to the city, you're also pretty close to nature. Like an hour drive, you're out in
45
a
out
state
here.
park.
I'm like 30. I'm in the heart of Seattle. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very unique place.
We randomly just we went to dinner the other day. All of a sudden, you probably didn't expect it. Ocean, Pacific Ocean,
Yeah.
just rolled up on it. Was that shocking to you?
A little bit. I mean, I kind of know what to expect being there, but I don't know the lay of the land. So like when
Right.
we just happen across the ocean or the bay or whatever it was, I don't see bodies of water that big. Like,
we have made ones in
lakes.
Texas.
We have lakes. We got big lakes, but it doesn't look anything like that
Yeah.
for sure. And there's very little wildlife around the North Dallas area that's like, wow, where you can just sit.
It's like pigs.
Yeah, and it's 110. It's like here it was high 70s, and when we left it was like 110.
Dude, if all my friends weren't in Texas, I would never go to Texas.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some positives to it for sure. I can get rifles anytime I want, but
Damn, you got to flex like that.
but yeah, I mean, there's some trade-offs.
Yeah. I actually tried to buy a screw for a gas block. Just a screw. Just a grub screw. They wouldn't ship it.
Because it's for a gas block.
Because it was
Gun
labeled for a gas
related.
block. So I went
Yeah.
to Tacoma Screw and got one instead.
Wow.
Yeah.
So obviously, it'd be preaching to the choir to say that the regulations that actually were passed don't actually make
They're-
anybody safer. It just
no, they're
creates
regulating-
impediments.
Screws.
No, it's
accessible everyday materials that like legally cannot even be regulated.
Right, so it's a game. They know what they're doing. They're not doing it for safety. So if they really because they say these rifles, these weapons, they just go around, they kill and everything like that. But they want that money. They want that tax money. So they make exemptions. And you think if they really cared, if it were so true and they really cared about these lives being saved, why would they still allow these companies to produce thousands and thousands of rifles or whatever it is, right? It's about it's really about just taking the people that don't agree with your politics and getting them out. And when I worked for the power company and I worked up in Seattle, you can see it. So when you go up into the hills and all these yuppies with their nice homes and they're like, it's filled with essentially propaganda, right? They're so out of touch that they think they're doing good and these policies are working and everything like that. But for the average Joe, it's not, and they want to get out. And all that does is secure that vote, because eventually those who can get out, or even the people who will make it happen, will leave, and then they're guaranteed the elections going forward. So it doesn't make anyone safer at all, right? You go to certain neighborhoods, they're still going to be shooting each other. You can still get stuff. There's roundabout ways and everything like that. So they don't care. That's why companies get exemptions. They get that tax money. Then they take that money and they put it towards more of those policies or anything like that. It's just a big scam. I mean, government itself is a big scam. They just have it a little bit more refined than the other side.
Yeah, and I mean they're coming from a morally justified place. You know, they're saying it in the name of public safety, so it makes it a really easy position to take.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Then you take all the people. So, I mean, if you were to get all the people who own guns or bought firearms or anything like that in this state, right? And let's say they all voted one way, it would go that way. But the average gun owner, the average just dude, who doesn't go out and train like us or shoot or involved in like the firearm industry or really even cares to look past their 9 to 5 or anything like that and what it means for their family, their safety, things like that. They're just like, well, I got that one pistol in the drawer, so if they want to come up with this ban, it's not, you know. And then you got just constant propaganda from people like David fuck my girlfriend Hogg, who's like, if you need more than 10 shots, you're a shitty shot, you know. And
which also is like some FUD lore stuff too, which is kind of a weird Gen Z FUD lore crossover.
You say FUD lore until you watch that video of that guy with the 357 SIG dome that guy in the church.
Well, yeah, he was an FBI like trainer.
yeah, but that doesn't
I'm just
say
kidding.
much.
I just
yeah.
thought it was epic.
It was, yeah, that was in Texas.
Yeah.
Well, he was a great shot. I wonder if that's something with like the kind of FUDs. Not saying he was a FUD, right? But it like, I mean, because what he canoed that dude. Right?
Oh, Jesus guided that one.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
for
that
sure.
was a
That's what I'm
holy. That was
saying.
that was a holy bullet.
It's like
that
he
wasn't.
he was calm.
It's hard. Yeah.
Trigger press was on point.
If you try to do that, just know they're holy bullets. You can't beat church bullets. It doesn't work like that. I don't know why he thought
that
he
is
could.
facts. That is
Anyway.
facts.
It was blessed. I mean, Elijah Dickon was blessed in that sense too.
Yeah,
40 yards away.
it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been a lot of instances where around the country, sometimes you need more than one round. So
Probably most times.
yeah, I mean, it's actually really rare to have a situation where it's a one and done sort of deal like the church in Texas. But in every situation where they've been incredibly proficient, they train.
The
It's never
president
an
of the United
Absolutely.
States told us that we don't even actually have to make bullet to flesh contact. That we can just take our shotguns, fire 2 shots in the air.
That was the
which, by the way, he
official
did advise
recommendation.
us to break the law by doing so.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that.
Anyway,
Crazy, like because I think it was his son who, I don't know if he's still addicted to crack cocaine, but at one point he was definitely addicted to crack cocaine, and he probably maybe he smokes crack cocaine, but his son definitely at one point he definitely did crack cocaine. He smoked a lot of crack. He had a gun.
Correct.
Yeah.
And lied on a federal forum to get that.
Exactly.
I think he's
Which is the only
I think he's
means
in
you
court
should-
today. As of today,
Is
we're
it
filming
for
this.
the crack cocaine?
It's for the gun and the drug charges.
But okay, so he did smoke crack cocaine.
Correct, and he was an admitted crack fiend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to make
Publicly, that is
if there's any confusion
unequivocally
right,
the case.
right, yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, even at the highest levels of government, you got guys who have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to firearms because primarily their entire life's work has been not concerned with their own security. They have security teams. They have people that take care of them on their behalf.
Well, even
So-
if they do know, I mean, the people that are listening don't know, so it doesn't matter if they lie. I mean, who's gonna really say? Besides, we might get on Twitter and be like, "Well, that's fucking not accurate," and get a couple hundred views of it. We're not really swaying as many people as they can lie to. You know?
No,
Sure. I mean, it's like the never attribute malice to what could be attributed to ignorance. So I mean, like he might not know that he
Aristotle,
is ignorant, but
Big Aristotle guy, huh?
big Aristotle guy.
is that even who said that?
I don't know. You're the one who said it.
I've heard it before.
I don't know who said it, but are you a big Aristotle guy?
Would you say you dabble in just like the Greek kind of side of
The
things?
classics of Western philosophies, yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
So was
I
it
do.
Aristotle?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm starting to believe you don't dabble in it.
Yeah, that's
Well, dabbling is a very small intake of the entire.
Why did you just give us the definition of dabble?
what?
That was weird. Why did he define dabble as if we didn't know what dabble
So
was?
he's dabbling down on the fact that he definitely does dabble in Greek mythology or Greek
Because-
writing.
Did you like the movie 300?
Yeah.
You're good enough.
Okay, that's
what
all you
about the
needed.
follow-up? I watched that the other
I don't
night.
think I actually watched that one.
You didn't watch it? It's the beginning's kind of sick, but after that, it's like we get it.
One of the last things I want to ask you is about the videos that you guys do and the content that is actually put in there and your secret ulterior motives behind the things that you do. Because on the surface, it's
not very
entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's
Yeah,
you know, it
yeah.
occupies
Agenda.
attention.
The agenda.
But underneath, you guys have goals to get more people involved in training, get more information into people's hands.
I feel like agenda is like it uses a dirty word. Having an agenda.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. How it
Having,
could be a
having
dirty
an
word.
agenda is not always.
What's the underlying
Yeah.
goals besides the obvious?
exactly.
Yeah.
So for Garand Thumb, I mean, we've said it a bunch, but ultimately, we just want people to be exposed to the joys of firearms and firearms ownership. We want people to see them being handled in a way that is like both professional and fun. You know, you kids probably want to see some more dummies blow up and stuff like that, and maybe some adults want techniques on how to set up a plate carrier and train with their firearms. I'm not saying that that kids can't get proficient with firearms at all.
Sure.
But you know what's palatable in the general consensus. I mean, we all know. And so, in my goal and all that kind of stuff is, I just want there to be as much content accessible to people that it becomes normal.
That's a perfectly acceptable goal to have.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
If more people see more people in plate carriers shooting crazy amounts of ammo really fast with big black scary guns, it slowly waters it down until it's just palatable and normal.
Yeah, it's definitely the right time to do it. There's so many kids out there like playing COD and video games, and they'll see a gun and they might look it up on YouTube, and it's like you get that information out there that one, right, safety with firearms, that they're not this big, bad, terrifying, evil thing, you know, like they are for fun, they're for just competition, just hanging out with the homies, self-defense, like all these things. They're not just something this evil thing that certain entities want them to believe. And you know, when they see that, they see a group of dudes having fun, putting out information, stuff like that, it changes the narrative. And right now that's what it is. It's two narratives going together. One is obviously, right, like gun culture, gun rights, stuff like that is the most beneficial, I believe, to society, to a free people, right? And the other one is it's about control. They want control, and when you can fight their narrative with something different, and it's something I think far more relatable to generations coming up, it's bound to win. So it's kind of that battle, and that's besides the fact that just making videos is fucking dope.
And I was gonna say, and then you know, there's that serious, like, you know, my overarching goal, but also it's just fun. I am passionate about making videos, so it's also a little selfish. I like to come out here, roll the camera, and I also I started to notice maybe a trend of people taking firearms, making them unpalatable by how strong some opinions are, and so that's why with my personal YouTube channel, I wanted to make it kind of just relatable and easy to digest and stuff like that. So
Average dude,
Yeah.
can watch it. The average person, for sure.
Yeah, basically the only narrative outside of the non-mainstream is negative towards guns.
Yeah.
And without something to offset and put a real person in front of the screen and say that you're not weird or crazy for liking firearms and training with firearms, and actually it's pretty normal. And it is what differentiates us from every other country in a good way. We are one of the last remaining places on the face of the planet that allows citizens to actually have the means to defend themselves. And I think that's something worth preserving and something that is a worthwhile cause for us to go out, make videos, show that it doesn't always have to be super serious where everything has to be a drill sergeant type of outlook on everything, but you never sacrifice the safety of things because this tool is, you know, an inherently dangerous tool. And that's why you become a lot more well-equipped whenever you've got more information. And without what you guys are doing, what a lot of other YouTube channels are doing, that's providing the information with a palatable intake where
And
it's
everyone's
actually
doing
fun
it,
to watch.
Everyone's doing it different, right? You have
Yeah.
Scott, you have Demo people. "Oh, Demolition Ranch never doesn't speak out against ATM. Also, like, not everyone wants to watch a video about a guy ranting about politics all the time. You know,
Yeah.
it's easy. Kids
As we do.
especially don't. You know, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I 1000% agree that. Yeah, everyone is putting out content collectively in their own unique way, and I think it all contributes to the good.
And I think that's a super cool thing too, because you have gun guys. They all take a different approach, and you could hit. Everyone has a different taste in entertainment or what they're looking for, right? So like Micah's channel might hit a different audience than Herrera's or something like that. Whereas the anti-gun folks, it's just they're scary, they kill people, right? And that eventually they're just gonna run out of audience. Whereas the gun dudes, right? We can just reach far more people with the different approaches, and everyone's doing their own thing. So I think that's pretty cool because I mean, I feel like they are scrambling to fight that, and the only thing they have is just that one shitty narrative of it's the insert whatever they put, right?
I completely agree with that because just like anything else, the less you know about it, the easier it is to be afraid of it. Whether it's animals or guns or anything else, the more you actually find out about it, the more you're like, oh, like I have nothing to fear with this.
Yeah, like people that just dance with alligators in the swamps, and it's like,
Or
I
do
just
crack.
Or do you crack and lie on 4473? So, hey, I appreciate your time. This probably ran a little bit longer than I expected to, but I think it was all worthwhile.
My butt hurts, dude. I'm sitting on a rock.
Sitting on a rock.
I got one bump on each cheek right now that I've been
Is it
kind
just
of like
bouncing back and forth?
I've had to pee for so long.
Yeah.
And I got a tiny wiener, so it can only hold but so much.
All right, well, on that note, I need to cut you guys loose so you can drain the main vein. Thanks for watching, guys. Go check out the Garand Thumb channel and more specifically, the Micah Mayfield channel. It's relatively new and absolutely skyrocketing to the top. We made a bet and you'll owe me.
I do owe you.
You will owe me,
I owe you.
and you'll owe me for the rest of your life because before you posted that video, you're like, you think I should do it? You think people will like it? And I'm like, dude, yes, post it. How many views? You think you get 2,000 views? I'm like, dude, you'll get 20,000 views in the first day. And it was actually 200,000. So we were both wrong, but I believed it.
It's funny because we sat there and we actually went, I'm like, we just keep upping the ante. Oh, it's going to be 200,000. And I was like using that benchmark as like a no way it will. I guess it did. So
Sure enough. Yep.
yeah.
Congratulations on your success. I'm sure you'll have a lot more as long as you keep doing it. It's unfortunate that
I just hope people are enjoying it.
yes, that Washington restricts your ability to do so, but it sounds like you won't be here for much longer here
That
in
is
the
correct.
future. So we'll see more from the Micah Mayfield channel. If you made it this far, you're one of the best. Make sure you like and subscribe so you make sure you see more firearms content. Thanks for watching. Thanks for shopping with Gunmag Warehouse. Stay free.